Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows on a Tuesday, April 23rd. I don't know if I actually did a show on a Tuesday before, but events of the weekend have caused me to have to do one. It is Shakespeare Day, so I got my Shakespeare shirt on, so there we go. It is currently 7:48 p.m. on a Tuesday, so beautiful day out there. We're going to be talking about stuff that happened last week, including 420, 25th anniversary of Columbine, 17th anniversary of the Virginia Tech shootings, Taylor Swift's new album, Wolverine Deadpool trailer, some football news, baseball, I guess, is in there, Fortnite stuff, Fallout, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, aliens, what else? We got some other stuff as well, but it's going to be hard because I wrote this yesterday. I was going to try to do the show yesterday, but time got away from me, and it took me a lot longer to write up the stuff for this week. So it's also not in the best handwriting, so I'm going to have probably trouble reading a lot of it. So just bear with me here. So I'm going to try to blow through this because it is a Tuesday. It's weird. And I'm not expecting it, and I got stuff I need to do, and I prefer to do on the weekends, obviously, but due to situations out of my control, that's why we're here. Those who've been following me, I've been having issues with kidney stones. I was in the ER about 3 weeks ago. Ended up in the ER again Sunday morning, about 2:30 in the morning. And discovered that the stones were just at the time, just about to enter into its final descent, whatever. I believe it has shifted to that, but there's still pain, stuff like that. My arm is still killing me from where they took the shots, and you can see some bruises there, some bruising there, where they put my blood, and they put the we call it the IV tube in as well. Got some drugs, of course. Still waiting on the oxy, which I've gotten oxy the last 2 times I've gone, and I'm not getting it this time, which is weird. They say they still have to check with my insurance company and blah, blah, blah. So whatever. I mean, it's not like I'm abusing it because I'm taking it once every 4 or 5 days, it seems like, not once every hour every day. But I understand. I get it. I was lucky Sunday when I went at 2:30 in the morning, there was like only 1 or 2 other people in the ER. And so the basic way to survive in an ER is you go in and you give your name to the front desk to check in and tell them your symptoms. And then they'll ask you some questions about your about stuff. And then they'll print you out some stickers, and then you sit down, and then you go to triage, which usually is about, depending on how busy it is, 10 to 15 minutes after you get there, where they ask you in more detail, a nurse asks you in more detail what your problem is, and they're writing up like your report about you, what your problem is, and any other issues, stuff like that. And then if they're busy, they might take blood, and if it's like something with your urine, like with me, they can give a urine sample. And then normally on a busy time after triage, you end up waiting for about 2 hours after that so they can test your blood, test your urine, and then all the other people in front of you. And then after about 2 hours, they'll take you into the back where there's a bunch of beds and stuff like that where you can go lie down, and they'll ask you more questions. And then the doctor will come down with the report they got and maybe put in for other stuff, and then they'll say, okay, we'll give you some drugs and stuff like that to recover, and then we'll do this and that, and so on and so forth. And then they will eventually, tell you what's going on, and they'll tell you what they're going to prescribe for you or have you do. And then if you just need like drugs and stuff like that, they'll write up a final report, and then they'll discharge you, and then you leave. So the average time for me has been about 6 hours in the ER. Sort of similar last time. Actually, it was a little less than that. It was about 5.5 hours on Sunday. That was due to the fact, as I said, there's only like 1 or 2 other people there. So I went to triage, and they didn't take my blood or ask for urine sample because they weren't busy. And then literally like about 15 minutes later, they said, go in the back. So I went to the back, and I was like the only one back there. Well, there's about 2 or 3 other people back there. And so I did my urine sample and got my blood taken there and so on and so forth. And then got my drugs and just was, tests and stuff like that, and was told what was going on and so on and so forth. And I was discharged and left about 8 a.m. So as I said, my stone is apparently entering my bladder now, and the tip of my penis, which has been feeling the pain a little bit more and stuff like that. It doesn't really feel that much anymore. And then I have some pain in my back, but that's, I guess, usual. So, but you have to remember, ERs are going to be busy, and they have very few people there. And so I understand that you're in pain, and I understand you're scared and stuff like that, but sometimes you just have to wait. There are people who are in a lot worse shape than you are. There are people who got there before you did, who've been waiting just as long as you have. And that's why they do triage. They figure out what is the worst problem and which is the one should they attack first. They try to do it in order, obviously, that you get there. But if you have something where your pain isn't too bad, but you're worried about something that they can't really do anything about right now, but then there's somebody who needs something else, they'll probably take them before they take you. And that's just the way it is. You just got to be patient and realize these are people also. And I understand as I said, you're in pain and you're scared and stuff like that, but sometimes you just got to suck it up and handle it. So that's what happened with me. Hopefully I don't ever have to go again. Hopefully I have a urologist meeting on Friday. I was hoping I wouldn't have to deal with the guy I had been dealing with, because I didn't think like he really wanted me around, but unfortunately he's the only one who's available. So case Ross it is. But the fact is I'll be able to get it on Friday instead of 15 days later like the last time. So we'll see what's going on. It's been a busy week. Last week, I mean, we had Earth Day was yesterday, and 420 was on Saturday. That was also the 25th anniversary of Columbine. And then earlier in the week was the 17th anniversary of the Virginia Tech shooting, like the 19th, I think, something like that. So this week of April is always a tough one. Actually found out that Easter next year is on 420, which I find hilarious, but that's just me, which is a very late Easter compared to the very early Easter we had this year. Anywho, I got this belt that's really tight on me. I think I'm just going to take loosen this belt off right now. That's a little bit better. Should I just take off the pants, to be honest? I mean, I'm the only one down here. Should I? And why not? So I just opened it up. I didn't take it off, but I opened it up a little bit, so hopefully it won't be as bad. So 420, I've never been a big proponent of 420. I mean, I've been proponent. I mean, I'm for legalizing marijuana, stuff like that, and I've never done it myself. But I always find it funny that 420 is considered a stoner holiday, and is actually a holiday that people do celebrate, which is I think is really funny. But it is also, unfortunately, the anniversary of, at the time, the worst school shooting in history. 25 years ago, anniversary of it, on April 20th, 1999 is when, I forget their names. I know one of them's first name was Dylan. Went into the school hoping to actually cause a lot more damage. They had created a bunch of bombs, and their plan was to blow up the cafeteria with everybody in it, and then that would in turn collapse the ceiling with the library on it on top of it to cause even more death. They wanted more. They wanted like hundreds of deaths. But unfortunately, be it karma or fate or whatever, they were useless about making these bombs, and the bombs did not go off as expected. But unfortunately, they did have guns. as their secondary means of creating terror, and went on a killing spree. The majority of their killing took place in the library, where they massacred, I think, 10 people. I think in total, it was like 18 people were killed. And at the time, it was the worst school shooting of all time. It was definitely up to that point. There had been school shootings, but there really wasn't anything quite to that extent. And that, to me, was like the beginning of where we are now. With after that, it seemed like it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we've had a ton more. And it no longer is the worst school shooting of all time. Though it is still terrible, because just think about it. All those kids who died would be 25 years older now. And who knows where we would be if they were still alive, you know? So what was going on or what was happening. So it's hard to say. It's one of those things. It's a what if, alternate reality sort of thing. And then early in the week was the 17th anniversary of the Virginia Tech shooting, which took place in 2007. So it was after the Columbine massacre. This one was a lot worse. It was about 20 plus people were killed in that one. It was actually in 2 different locations. And that was I remember that one because I was just about to get fired from my job at the self-storage facility. And when they had me working on Saturdays, they gave me like that Monday off. So I'd have an extra day off, like a weekend, Sunday, Monday off. So I had that Monday off. And usually what I did was, my daughter, Noelle, was at that time, was very young. It was April. So December, January, February, March, April. She was about 4 months old. So I would keep her home from daycare that day and watch her myself. So I remember she was down for a nap and I was in my bedroom watching TV or something like that, and the news came over and started watching the news about that, and it was pretty awful. So some bad stuff happened this week. Donald Trump's first court trial started this week on Monday with opening remarks, and there were some more remarks today. So, and jury selection was last week as well. So things are progressing on that end. So hopefully we'll get a answer and he'll be in prison by summertime. That would be great. The Deadpool Wolverine trailer, which is probably the most anticipated movie of the summer, came out this week. It was the red band trailer, so lots of the F word and some violence and stuff like that. But again, they're not revealing too much, but they showed enough. They showed a lot more Wolverine in this one than the previous teaser for Deadpool Wolverine. And it actually looks very like an entertaining movie. So the second one didn't look all that entertaining to me when it first came out. So this one looks a little bit different. So kind of look forward to this one. So that's kind of cool. What? See what I'm talking about? What the hell am I? Oh, Goodbye Earth trailer. That's right. It's Korean End of the War film was released this week. Basically, it's an asteroid, a big disaster asteroid is heading for Earth, and its main spot where it's going to crash is in Korea. So they focus on the people who live in the city where the main crash of the asteroid is going to be. So that's kind of interesting. Hail Mary, Project Hail Mary, which was based on the guy is a book that was written by the guy who wrote The Martian. They're now making a movie adaptation of it, directed by the guys who directed the Lego movie, Phil Lord and Chris, whatever his name is, and will star Ryan Gosling and is set to debut on March 20th, 2026. So that was, they announced the date of that as well. Oh yeah, Kurt Busiek and Fabian Nicieza, two of my favorite comic book writers, are teaming up for a creator-owned book called Free Agents. It'll be on 8 from Image, about a group of, after an alien invasion of Earth, and the aliens leave some left behind that turned against them, and now they are allowed to live their own life after being under this oppressive rule. But then their past comes back to haunt them, and they have to fight back. So it's kind of interesting. Taylor Swift dropped her newest album, the Dread Poets Roberts. I forget what it's called. Let's find out so I get this properly. Give her proper credit. Tortured Poets Department is the top album of the week, obviously. Broke records, stuff like that. It was really expected. Was expected all this to happen, but what was unexpected was that this was released at midnight, and then after it was released at midnight, people who went and got it saw a countdown for 2 hours later. They were like, "What the hell?" They weren't sure exactly what was going on. Turned out at 2 a.m. she released another, like a compendium to it, a 15-song extra album. So basically a double album with 15 new songs, including the first song about her relationship with Travis Kelce, and her slam song against Kim Kardashian was on there as well. So it is a huge hit, obviously. And the funny thing is, the opening song, the first single from it, Fortnite, not about the game, is the video stars Josh Charles and Ethan Hawke. The two of them co-star together in Dead Poet Society. It's kind of fun to see them re-teaming again for a Taylor Swift video. So that's kind of good. Josh Charles is also a local guy, and I like Ethan Hawke also. And then, of course, them being in Dead Poet Society and then doing the Tortured Poets thing. Kind of interesting. Speaking of Fortnite, Billie Eilish is joining Fortnite. She will be the newest superstar after The Weeknd and Eminem and Lady Gaga to grace Fortnite. New season started today with a new download for them for the music section of Fortnite. The new season of Fortnite is not going to start till May 24th. But we are just going through an Avatar event, and then the Star Wars event will be coming up on May 3rd. So we got a lot of stuff coming up for that. But Billie Eilish is now officially in Fortnite. So there you go. This is really cool. The first ever Lord of the Rings video game for the Nintendo Switch will be released soon, called Tales of the Shire. And I'm wondering if it's going to be something like Stardew things where it's basically going to focus on the hobbits, but the hobbits aren't adventurers. They farm and they build houses and they cook food and they just drink and have a good time. It's going to be like Stardew Valley, where they're just going to sort of build stuff. That would be awesome if they did it, but they're all hobbits. That would be really cool if they do that. So I think that's really neat. Pokemon Go has upped their graphics for your catch screens. We knew it was coming, but didn't quite know how interesting it was going to be. So they've done a little bit of everything. So let's see. This is what the new catch screen looks like, which is really something that we have never really seen before. So it's kind of cool. And this is from my house. So there's like a river in the back from my house. Now from work, I work near Baltimore City. If you look in the distance, you see a city in Baltimore City. So that's actually in the game. Let me catch C-Dot here real quick. I can show you the picture of Baltimore City from my work also. So graphics are kind of good, I guess. The Kanto event started, as did the the Earth Day event. So we got 2 events concurrently going on. Oddish, we just popped up. It's just popped up out of nowhere. But the catch screens are really, really cool, particularly here at our house. We have a little river in the background, I think, or lake or whatever. I think they call it Lake Noel, because our back, when it gets really, really heavy rain, it floods. And we first noticed that 20-some years ago when we moved here. We called it Lake Noel after, obviously, our daughter. Ooh, let me just get him real quick. I didn't mean to be playing Pokemon Go, but this is a Golem. So, yeah, so these guys just keep popping up. And then I'll show you the Baltimore City picture once I catch this guy, if he lets me catch him. Come on, man. So anything else? Football related, Matt Ryan has announced his retirement from football, and Zach Wilson has been traded to the Denver Broncos for like pennies. So kind of interesting. So I'm just going to find this Baltimore screenshot here. I can't really see it too well. But right there, that's the city. That's Baltimore City. So it's kind of cool seeing that in the distance. So kind of neat. Oh, the Watchers trailer with Dakota Fanning, directed by Ashira Night Shyamalan, is a very bizarre and weird film, as expected from the Shyamalan family. It reminds me a little bit of early M. Night, but it seems a lot more crazy, if it's at all possible. And on top of that, her dad, M. Night, has a new movie coming out also this summer called Trap, which the first trailer for that was released, where Josh Hartnett plays a serial killer who's trapped at a concert with his daughter. And the police are there because they think the serial killer is going to be there and are going to try to stop him from exiting. And he's going to try to figure out a way to escape before his next victim, who's still in his basement, gets revealed or gets found. So I think it's kind of interesting. It actually it looks really, really good. M. Night, you can love him or hate him or whatever, but this last film, this trailer for this film looks absolutely really, really cool and a lot of fun. And it's nice to see Josh Hartnett getting a lot more work now since his late 90s debut, and they sort of disappeared for a while, and then has been making a little bit of a mini comeback. So good for him. We talked about the Wolverine Deadpool trailer. Hugh Jackman is set to replace Will Ferrell in the John Madden biopic. So that's kind of interesting, I guess. The other big news is everybody knows that Quentin Tarantino has stated that he only plans on making 10 movies, and he said that he was going to make his last one be The Movie Critic, and was working on it and had already cast Brad Pitt and a whole bunch of other stuff. And then last week, he abruptly announced that he will not be making The Movie Critic his 10th movie and final film. He has trashed it and is going to be looking for another one, I think. And someone had a good in-depth look at this, saying that his 10-picture thing is kind of problematic for Quentin because he gave himself this sort of arbitrary deadline, and then by the time he gets, and he's had such big success, that by the time he gets the 10th one and the final one, he's got to make it like an experience. And I think The Movie Critic just wasn't seeming like a good experience film, like a good final film to your career sort of thing. And the problematic part about it is that it would have been a fun and interesting Quentin Tarantino movie if he didn't place this is going to be my last film. If he just made movies as long as he wanted to or when he wanted to, he could have made this and not said, hey, this is my final film. He could have just made it and had another movie released and added to his filmography. And if he truly wanted to feel like he needed to end on a big bang, then you create another one. But then that would also open up the ability to do all these other films that have the aspect of, I need to make a big grand finale, but there are all these other ideas that he has that aren't grand finale things, but would still make interesting films. But now he can't make them because he says, I got to make only 10, and my 10th one has got to be something special. So it's a really good in-depth look about how it's kind of problematic that he did this to himself. And if he would have just sort of let time and history go. If you look at some of these other directors, John Waters, he hasn't made a movie for 20 some years. He's trying to get funding for a movie now. David Lynch hasn't for about 5-6 years now. So he's trying to get funding for a movie. So you don't have to make a movie every year, every couple years, whatever. You can take a breather until you get the right stuff, and then make a film every 5 years, 10 years, whatever. But don't make an arbitrary. I'm only making 10 and done. Leave it yourself open so that you can make stuff that you're interested in and you think would be interesting. And I think a lot of people want to see Kill Bill 3, but again, that wouldn't be a good career-ending sort of film. A lot of people want to see his Star Trek one. I don't. I think that'd be a disaster, but it might be a fun thing he would have done, but it wouldn't be something you'd want to do as your final film, but it might have been a fun experiment to see what it was like. And then The Film Critic might have been a fun little film to look. Probably would have made some bank and maybe get some critical acclaim, And his whole point, I think, was saying that he believes that after a certain point, he feels that directors start losing their luster or whatever. But you got to just take a look at like Spielberg. If he stopped after 10 films, he wouldn't have made Schindler's List or Jurassic Park. If Christopher Nolan would have stopped after 10 films, he would never have made Oppenheimer and never would have won the Oscar, and just all these other people that, if they stopped their career with only 10 films, you wouldn't get all this other stuff that's out there. And yeah, there might be some crap involved in some of that stuff, but make the films you want to make. So it is what it is. When Aliens, the rights to doing Aliens comics based on the films by Ridley Scott and James Cameron, David Fincher, Jean-Jacques Pierre Jeunet, when it came to that, the rights have been jumping around. Dark Horse had them for a while, and then some other people had them. I forget what it was, and then Marvel has them now. And back when Dark Horse had them, they did lots of team-ups where they did like Aliens versus Green Lantern, or Predator versus Superman, that sort of stuff, or Predator versus Batman. They did like a 3-set thing like that, and they were kind of some. And then there's like an Alien versus Green Lantern and stuff like that. And those were some of the kind of the more fun, interesting comic miniseries about that. Well, now that Aliens is in the Marvel family, it's about time that we do Aliens versus Avengers, and we've got that coming out in July. Could be intriguing. I mean, the DC superheroes already took on Godzilla and King Kong and all that, so why not have the Marvel superheroes take on the aliens? So that could be an interesting comic to come out here soon. Far Cry 7 may feature Cillian Murphy as the villain. I don't know much about Far Cry 7, or if that's based on a video game, or it's the 7th film of a series. I don't know, but Far Cry 7, I think it's based on a video game called Far Cry 7. May have Cillian Murphy as the bad guy. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame winners who are going to be enshrined have been announced. We have Cher and Dionne Warwick, which is funny because Clueless, the two main characters were named Cher and Dionne. But Cher, Dionne Warwick, Peter Frampton, Foreigner, Ozzy Osbourne, Jimmy Buffett, Dave Matthews Band, Mary J. Blige, and A Tribe Called Quest are all entering the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in this class. So congratulations to them, and have fun. In a couple of weeks, actually not this weekend, is it next weekend? Yes. Next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend is Free Comic Book Day. It is a great event. There is unfortunately no Marvel or DC movie to connect with Free Comic Book Day this year. The Fall Guy, but that's not a comic book movie, but that doesn't matter because Free Comic Book Day has been around since like 2000. And they always tried to get a comic book movie attached to it, but you don't need to have a comic book movie attached to it because Free Comic Book Day is its own event, its own holiday, and it's a lot of fun. If you don't know what Free Comic Book Day is, where the hell have you been? But for those who haven't, I'll give you the lowdown. There are tons of comic book stores all across the country. In your state, there's tons of them. You just need to find them, and we'll talk about that in a second. But Free Comic Book Day is something that was created by retailers way back, as I said, around 2000, where they decided that for one day on a weekend, they would have this Free Comic Book Day where they would give away free comics to get people into the comic book stores. And right around that time, I guess, is when the comic movies started making a little minor comeback with the first X-Men movie and the first Spider-Man movie, stuff like that. So they figured they would got a whole bunch of new fans into comic books. So they figured this would be the easiest way to get people to come into comic book stores. After seeing the movie, they would want to say, hey, let's see what's going on with the comics. And that would draw traffic to their comic shops. So they approached all the major publishers, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Image, etc., and even the smaller ones as well, and said, this is our idea. Would you be willing to participate in it? And sure enough, everyone was willing to do it. They would make these little free comic books. Some would be reprints of comics they've already done. Some would be a lot of like the Marvel and DCs. They realized that this would be a good way to get people to get into comics and to stay into comics. So they would introduce like prequels during Free Comic Book Day, new material prequels to their big events that are going to be coming in the rest of the summer and the fall or whatever. So that way you get the prequel and they'll leave you hanging. You're like, what's going to happen next? And then you flip the page like, well, in June, buy these comics. In July, buy these comics. And they're like, oh, I want to find out what happens. So you go to the store and you buy those comics. So it's a good way to do that. And also it's just a way to just introduce people into the medium of comic books and stuff like that. And you focus on what is popular in pop culture right now. And you put that out there as part of these free comics. So you have tons of free comics. It costs, it costs the comic shops about 25 cents a comic or something like that, 5 cents, 25 cents a comic, but it gives them free traffic, and it has a place in the back where you can stamp your store name so that when they take the free comic book, they know where they got it from, and a way to draw traffic in there and hopefully get people to come back for more and get you into the shop. And then a lot of these places, they are reach out to creators to come and sign books or just hang out and talk to people coming in and stuff like that. And my local comic shop, Cars Comics Collectibles, literally right up the road that way. The guy who runs it, Mark, is the guy who runs the Baltimore Comic-Con. So he has a way into the talent. And he hasn't really had major talent. He's had local people. He's had some major talent here and there. This year, he's got major talent. Walt Simonson, who is considered to be one of the greatest comic book writer artists of all time and one of the definitive Thor writer artists. He worked on Fantastic Four and X Factor and has created his own stuff as well. Worked on Manhunter and DC and Batman and stuff like that. Will be there. He'll be joined by his wife, Louise Wheezy Simonson, who is a comic book writer and a damn good one in her own right, and also a comic book editor. She helped create Power Pack, wrote Power Pack, and has written X-Men, has written all kinds of stuff, X Factor, stuff like that. Good writer, and the two of them will be at Cars Comics and Collectibles. Tom Rainey, who is a decent comic book artist who's done a lot of work, he's going to be there as well, as will Matt Slay and Steve Conley, who are guys that are usually there. So, and they have their own stuff as well. So that's kind of cool that they have kind of a good setup this year at Free Comic Book Day. So Free Comic Book Day is going to be the 4th, May 4th, all day. And if you want to participate, go to your search engine, whatever it is, and type in Free Comic Book Day. A website will pop up. And when you go and click on the website, it'll have a little directory, and you type in your zip code, and it'll give you all the comic shops that are participating in Free Comic Book Day within about a 30-mile radius. So that of that zip code. So you can see, if you don't know where there's a local comic shop, you can see where there is one. If there's one you want to go to a different one, you can go and see that as well. And that's how you figure it out. So it's a good idea. It's a good plan. I will be able to talk about it again later this week when I do the show again on Saturday, Sunday. God willing. Pepsi is re-releasing Pepsi Lime and Pepsi Peach later I think they said this month, but I don't see that happening this month, but it will be set out there. Also saw Sprite Chill, which is a cherry lime Sprite out there now. So that's kind of cool. Oh yeah, Duck wearing bow tie, walks into bar, drinks pint, fights dog, and loses. That's the headline of the week from Britain, I guess. So it's kind of funny. Space Mountain, the movie, is still in business. They've now signed directors. John Applebaum and Andre Helm, something like that, will be directing. So Space Mountain, the movie, is going to be coming here soon. The Witcher, which has gone through its own little thing, with Henry Cavill leaving after the third season and Liam Hemsworth taking over in the fourth season. Fourth season is going to be due out here soon on Netflix. Netflix announced that they've renewed The Witcher for a fifth and final season. So Liam Hemsworth will only get to be the Witcher for 2 seasons, and then they're going to end the show. Fellow Snark Alec and fellow Snark Alec Radio alumnus Kelly Toole, along with Michael Belinsky, have teamed up with Nintendo and have created a Game Boy game where Kelly Toole is a part of that. So that's kind of cool. That was announced this week during Kelly Toole's birthday. So congratulations to them. Meredith Madeline Firth, a young child actress, has joined the Wolfman movie that's presently being filmed. Pink barbecue sauce is available in the UK. It's a Barbie, as in Barbie, barbecue sauce. So it tastes like barbecue sauce, but it's pink and Barbie looking. So that's available in the UK only. Triangle of Sadness, I guess that's what it is set to star Keanu Reeves. Is one of his new movies coming up. The first official 2024 sighting of Nessie occurred last week as well. So Nessie's still around. The Invisible cartoon has been renewed for a 4th and 5th season on Amazon Prime. Fallout, which is one of the most popular shows on TV right now on Prime, has officially been renewed for a 2nd season. Domhnall Gleeson and Sabara Impacaro have joined the cast of the new Office reboot. And we learned that the main Jenna Fisher will not be reprising her role in the show. So this is going to be kind of a whole brand new sort of thing. Glenn Powell, who's all over the place and is now one of the new biggest stars. He was just in Anyone But You with the luscious Sydney Sweeney, is going to be in Twisters later this year, was in Top Gun Maverick a few years ago. He's like the new hot guy coming out here, and he's been signing up for a whole bunch of other stuff. He's also going to be doing a movie that I talked about earlier called Hitman, which is going to be directed by Richard Linklater, of Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight, Newton Boys, Dazed and Confused, so on and so forth. And the newest extended trailer hit this week from Netflix. It's due out June 7th, and it looks very cute and clever, has a little bit of sexiness to it, but he is not a real hitman. He's a guy pretending to be a hitman and pretends to be a different person on different dating sites to fulfill their different fantasies. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that all works out. Oh yeah, well, while filming Law and Order SVU, a young girl who was lost saw these people thinking they were real police officers and went up to the actors and actresses and said, "Can you help me? I'm lost." She's a young girl. So they stopped filming and helped this young girl find her family. I thought that's really kind of cool. Paul McCartney and John Lennon's children are going to be collaborating on a new song. So that's pretty cool. Park Chan-wook to redo his movie Old Boy, but for TV. Martin Scorsese actually has 2 films in the pipeline now. One is his Jesus film, which he hasn't really talked about too much. And another is he's finally has the okay to do his long gestating Frank Sinatra biopic. He's already cast Leonardo DiCaprio as Frank Sinatra, surprise, and Jennifer Lawrence as, I think, Mia Farrow. So that should be interesting to see how that is. Steven Spielberg has also signed on to do his next film, and I'm a lot more excited than I am for the Frank Sinatra biopic, though another Scorsese Jesus movie could be interesting. But in this case, Steven Spielberg is going back to what kind of made him famous. He has came up with a storyline about aliens and UFOs, and he has got the story idea, but he decided to sign his old Jurassic Park co-writer, David Cope, to write the screenplay based on his idea. So a Steven Spielberg alien movie with David Cope of Jurassic Park co-writing duties, writing it. Yes, I think that would be very, very cool. Trap Trailer, I already talked about that. I just talked about the luscious Sydney Sweeney, who is absolutely stunning, gorgeous, and a pretty okay actress, particularly on the show she does for HBO. But she does seem to do some other not so great films, obviously. And a female Hollywood producer called her out saying Sydney Sweeney is not pretty and cannot act. And I find that type of disparagement is absolutely disgusting. I did not read what Sydney Sweeney wrote back or said back to her, but I can only imagine what it was. But I think that's just kind of a rude thing to say. If you believe that, that's fine. That's your opinion, but you don't need to spout off your opinion about everything. I personally think she's pretty good in Euphoria. I think she's pretty damn good looking. And I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But again, that's just me. There might be people who don't find her attractive, which is absolutely fine. And also who might think she can act, which is absolutely fine as well. I mean, Ron Howard thinks enough of her that he cast her in his new film playing an unbeautiful woman. Even Immaculate, the horror movie she just did, she was considered the prettiest nun. But if you looked at her way she looked not great. Anyone But You was the one where she actually showed off her assets. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Oh, the most colossal marine reptile has been discovered. Family discovered a bunch of teeth and stuff on the beach, and then they took it to some scientists, and they were able to predict what this looked like, and is now the most colossal sea creature out there. Night Watch Demons and Are Forever trailer. It's 30 years after the original Night Watch film, so there's another one out there. Don't know much about Night Watch, but that's it. And NASA, and I'm so happy about this, NASA will be sending a Dragonfly drone to Titan. Titan is, to me, one of the most interesting places in our solar system, and to have a potential drone flying over the vast amounts of liquid on its surface and getting pictures of it, that's all I want to see. I want to see pictures of liquid on another planet. And I think it'd be really, really cool. And this would be and Titan is such a really interesting place. So excited for that. Anniversaries. This week was also Superman Day. 1938, he made his first appearance. That's 86 years ago. Hot Fuzz came out 17 years ago this week. And Silent Hill came out 18 years ago this week. Some deaths this week. We have Roman Gabriel, quarterback of the Rams and NFL MVP, died at the age of 83. Sir Arthur Davies, one of the greatest composers of our time, died at the age of 80. Bill Tobin, former running back and GM on multiple NFL teams, he also passed away this week. Howie Schwab from Stump the Schwab, an ESPN game show that I used to watch at the beginning of the century. It was an interesting game about like just a regular fan who knew a lot of sports stuff, who went up against other sports fans and would take them on in competitions, and people would try to see if they could beat him in these different competitions, and he usually won most of the time. He passed away this week. John Trimble passed away this week. A lot of people might not know who that is, but the reason why we have Star Trek as a big thing now is because of him. John Trimble enjoyed Star Trek when it first came out in the 1960s, and CBS was deciding that they weren't going to do a third season, but John Trimble spearheaded a letter writing campaign. Remember, this is like 68, 69, so there wasn't computers and stuff like that. Started a letter writing campaign that sent thousands of letters to CBS saying, give us a third season of Star Trek. Because if you give us a third season of Star Trek, that would give us enough episodes to get it, what's the word? Shit. I can't think of the word right now. Let me look this up real quick. It'll come to me right now. Syndication, that's right. So if they got the third season of Star Trek, there'd be enough episodes for them to put it into syndication. So CBS acquiesced to the third season of Star Trek. It went into syndication and became the huge hit that it was, all because of John Trimble. So that was his. He was brought up on stage during a Star Trek convention, was given a standing ovation and an award and stuff like that, which he absolutely deserves, which is really cool. The Transformers 1 trailer debuted this week, an animated prequel to the movies and TV shows. Has Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson as the main voices on it. Lawrence Fishburne, I think, is in there. There's a few others as well, pretty famous people. It's a very it looks very silly, but also kind of dramatic stuff. So it's going to be one of these little weird sort of, it was exactly, and they don't have the regular voices, and it's like Optimus Prime and Megatron were friends before they became Optimus Prime and Megatron. Before they had their split up, they were friends, and this is about how they sort of broke up, I think. Jack Black has come out and said that he is indeed playing Steve in the live action Minecraft movie. So that'll be good. There was rumored that was the case, but yep, that's what is indeed the case. J.K. Dobbins, former running back with the Ravens, has joined Gus Edwards, also the Ravens, on the Chargers. An Antarctic base, which has tried for a long, long time to get a Pogo stop, a Pokemon Go Pokestop, succeeded, and now has a Pokestop there. So people who work there can play Pokemon Go. I have no idea what this is. Oh, and okay. Universal has settled the lawsuit claiming that the movie Yesterday deceived viewers with their trailer that showed Anna de Armas in it. Let's go back a little bit. I talked about this before when it first came up. The movie Yesterday is a really interesting movie. It's basically a what if the lights went out across the world, and then when they came back on, only one person in the whole world, well, there's more than that, but one person in the area knew who the Beatles were, and the Beatles did not exist in this world now. He's a musician, a failed musician, so he decides, since the Beatles don't exist, and I remember all their songs, let me write their songs, and since they're popular, I will sing them exactly as they sang them, and I will become a popular musician. And that's the basis of the story. It's a fun story. It's an interesting story, and it's a really neat movie. Danny Boyle directed it, and the guy Richard Curtis, who did Four Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, Love Actually, a bunch of other stuff. He wrote this as well. And the trailer for it has this guy going on to a talk show, and the guy, I forget the guy who he's the actor everybody hates in musicals, James something, Lofton, something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He Anna Armas is his guest and is his first guest, and then this guy is a second guest, and so he makes him a bet. He says, "Can you write a song for us in like 10 minutes?" So he goes off and then comes back and sings this song to Anna Armas, and that was part of the trailer. That scene was cut from the movie because the director decided he wanted to try something different. So we end up having the write this song in 5-minute thing as a competition between him and Ed Sheeran. And that's what happens. So people who saw that wanted to see Anna Armas in this movie and went to the movie just to see Anna Armas. And then when she wasn't in there, they complained, which I think is a stupid lawsuit. And apparently Universal has settled. So I don't know the settlement details of it, but it is over and done with. Thank heavens for that. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are still together. More pictures popped up of them at Coachella together. Reveling in the love. But Travis Kelce has also signed on to host a spinoff of So You Think You Are Smarter Than a Fifth Grader. He will be hosting a new show called So You Think You're Smarter Than a Celebrity. So that'll be coming out here probably in time for summer. Neva Arnold to play Martha Kent and Pruitt Taylor Vince to play Pa Kent in the new Superman movie directed by James Gunn. Sweet Tooth Season 3, first trailer came for Netflix. It's debuting June 6th and will be the last season for the show. For All Mankind gets renewed for a 5th season and also gets a spin-off series. That's an alternate reality show where the Russians land on the moon first and how that switches history around. Excuse me. Steve Buscemi has been cast as the new principal in Wednesday Season 2. Makes sense. He's worked with Tim Burton before, so why not? He's a perfect choice for it. Golden Axe animated comedy series from Comedy Central and the creators of Star Trek Lower Decks is coming soon. Golden Axe, I guess, is this sort of fantasy cartoon video game sort of thing. So they're going to do the Lower Decks sort of stuff for this fantasy cartoon. Lavender cream frappuccinos are a new thing at Starbucks. Sounds absolutely disgusting, to be honest. Filming has wrapped on the Big Bang Theory spinoff Young Sheldon. Young Sheldon's final episode has been filmed, and now what awaits is the spinoff coming very soon after that. Super Size Island book. Think of it as Jurassic Park, except that the T-Rex is a squirrel. It's about giant animals, stuff like that. Sounds like an interesting book. Wendy Peeney, who helped co-create ElfQuest with her husband Richard Peeney, has actually done a animated reimagining of The Mask of the Red Death, which is now on Prime. "100 Years of Solitude" is a new series. Okay. I don't know much about that, but okay. Pamela Anderson has joined Liam Neeson in the new Naked Gun reboot. She will play the love interest of Liam Neeson, which is kind of interesting. Marvel did a Werewolf by Night one-shot a couple years ago around Halloween that was very successful. They're now going to be doing a TV show. So hopefully they'll bring Moon Knight back because they work together many times. The Olympics starts in July in Paris, and the official lighting of the Olympic torch has happened in Greece, where the Olympics were created, and the torch is now on its long and roundabout way to Paris, France, in time for the Olympics. Ready or Not 2 has a great screenplay. The directors want to do it. Samara Weaving wants to do it. It's just a matter of timing and getting it done. So we could see that coming up here. No idea. Disney Plus wants to create a collection of channels which would focus on one thing, like do a Marvel channel and do like a Star Wars channel and other stuff, and then just do stuff that's focused on that, you know. So the Marvel channel just play Marvel stuff, and the Star Wars channel will just play Star Wars stuff, so on and so forth. Whatever you may think about J.K. Rowling, she is a despicable person now. I've lost all respect for her, but her book, children's book, The Christmas Pig, will be getting a film adaptation. I guess it's going to be animated, I guess. Just letting you know. Henry Cavill is expecting his first child with his longtime girlfriend. Real Steel TV show gets a pretty good update from creator Sean Levy. Says it's still in the works and might be coming sooner than later. Reginald the Vampire Season 2, starring the actor who played Harry in the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, gets a trailer and a release date very soon. Small object that crashed into a house in New Zealand was definitely space junk from the ISS. So that's interesting. I have no idea. This is. My time at Diamond Comics, one of my accounts was Earth 2 Comics, and they were, a pretty good account. They didn't really give me any problems, and I had an okay time with them, and everything was good. Apparently, just got word this week that they will be shutting down and closing their doors. So, here's to you, Earth 2. I enjoyed being your manager there for a while, so it's good. I have no idea what this is, so I'm not going to even do it. Death's Whitey Herzog, a Hall of Fame manager, passed away this week. As did A.J. Simon, a 2024 NFL draft potential player who was expected to go in the 4th or 5th round. He passed away at the age of 24. Anniversaries. Forgetting Sarah Marshall came out 16 years ago this week. Game of Thrones came out 13 years ago this week. The Baltimore Orioles' first opening day in 1954, 70 years ago, happened this week as well. It's like shadow creature was once more seen 8 hours. Something like that. Skip. All right. Here's where it gets interesting, because this was the last bit I did, and it's hard to read now. One of the universe's most extreme dead stars, surprisingly, came back to life recently. Interesting. Denis Villeneuve has started writing Dune 3 based on the book Dune Messiah. John Ottman to direct a Vivaldi biopic, which could be kind of interesting as well. John Ottman's interesting. He is a composer of movie scores and television scores, stuff like that, who is also a screenwriter and a director and has done everything. And he is now going to be doing everything for this Vivaldi biopic, which is kind of interesting. Simu Liu keeps getting asked about Shang-Chi 2, and he's worried that people are freaking out that it's never going to happen. Simu Liu has cleared the air, and he said, chill, everybody. It's in the works. Trust me, it's still going to happen. It's just a matter of working out the timing of everything in the MCU with everything else and so on and so forth. But it is set to arrive here as soon as we get our schedules wrapped up. But it is coming, and you will see it. Keanu Reeves to voice Shadow in Sonic 3. Professional. Oh, so that can be the last one. Oh, Jason Kelce lost his Super Bowl ring in a container of chili during an event that he was a part of. Okay. DC is rumored to be creating an Ultimate style rebooting, i.e. Marvel's Ultimate Universe, for their DC universe with Scott Snyder. So basically doing new versions of their popular characters, but in an Ultimate Universe sort of way. They're going to be doing it in their DC way. Oh, season 2 of Peacemaker has started filming. James Gunn is simultaneously working on both that and Superman. Outer Range season 2 trailer debuted this week. It's set to debut May 16th, and it is just as whacked as the first season. It looks like there's some sort of time travel, ghost alien sort of thing going on there. Mysterious aquatic anomaly was spotted in the ocean near South Africa. It is a weird blob. If you look on the radar, it's a weird blob of darkness. Don't know what it is, cold water or something. Don't know what it is or how it got there. Baja Palermo Punch is set to debut from Mountain Dew in 2025. Is said to be a grapefruit lime flavor, which is intriguing, but still good. I have no idea what that says, so I'm just going to mark that. Before I do my last show, Daredevil debuted 9 years ago this week. Nightwing made his first appearance 40 years ago this week. And Serial Mom, John Waters' great comedy, filmed in the neighborhood next to where I grew up. And in my high school, debuted 30 years ago this week. Also, Scream 4 debuted 13 years ago this week. And artist Jeffrey Venergera died at the age of 50 this week as well. He worked on comics and stuff like that. Finally, professional squatters have taken over Gordon Ramsay's $1 million restaurant in London. So squatters have just taken over in there. So the people that are basically homeless are living in this restaurant. So I think that's kind of interesting. And I think that's it. Again, sorry for the weird Tuesday thing, and it was a real quick one, only about an hour and 3 minutes long. That's okay, but I just wanted to get it done. I could have done a double episode next weekend, but I just wanted to get this out of the way so I only have to deal with a single one and keep with my track of going things and then see how I feel later this week. I do have it. I said doctor's appointment on Friday, so I'll have more information about things about that. It's hard to believe that tomorrow is already Wednesday, so only got a few more days left, and then we're back to the weekend again. So, yeah. So, thanks for watching, and thanks for hanging out with me. And I hope you have a good rest of your week, because we are now just about entering Wednesday time, so that's not bad at all. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care. And I'm leaving. Bye.